Welcome back to Dynamics. Okay, so let's go ahead and do another movie review for you guys. We will have some more Magic the Gathering next week. But movie review time, and we are going to review a movie called Civil War. It came out, I think, 2 weeks ago. So if you were wanting to see it, I hear it's doing well at the box office. So if you were wanting to see it, it might still be there for a little bit for you. But if you were really wanting to see it and you didn't want to take a chance on it leaving the theaters, check it out pretty soon. I'd encourage you checking it out. I've seen other reviews of the movie, and some liked it and some didn't for various reasons, and we may get into that a little bit in this video. But I would say overall I enjoyed the movie, but there are some caveats. So we'll talk about that, and then I'm going to do a follow-up video to this video. So I'm not going to go into spoilers in this video, and I'm not going to go into the deeper context of the movie in this video. That seems like more of a political video to me, and maybe some of you aren't interested in hearing about that. But if you are, I will be tomorrow. So whenever I post this one, the follow-up video to it should be posting. Actually, I think I might post them the same day, just to kind of get those both out there. Let me think about that for a minute. But anyways, here we go. Let's do the movie review portion of it. So, right off the bat, most of you guys know Nick Offerman is in this movie, and I just want to to temper your expectations. He is good, as he usually is. I enjoy Nick Offerman in everything I've seen him in, but he's only in this movie briefly. The last movie I reviewed, The First Omen, also had some big name actors that they kind of just had brief roles. This is kind of similar. He's kind of at the beginning and kind of at the end of the movie. No spoilers, of course, but I did enjoy his role. He was the president of the United States during the Civil War, and so he's not in the movie a lot, but he's like central, of course, because he's the president. Um, okay, who else? Who's the main character? The main character is we'll go ahead and just say it's Kirsten Dunst. Um, Her character Lee is a photojournalist who is used to going out and being on the front lines and taking pictures in war torn areas. And so now it's happening at home, and she's continuing that role of being, frontline person, but she's conflicted about everything because, she thought, and it makes sense, she thought that the reason why she was a photojournalist for, war torn areas is as a cautionary tale to say, don't do this. Why are you? I don't understand why they're doing it here, but don't do it at home. Don't do it anywhere. And so now she's seeing it happen at home, and so of course it's very very hard for her to deal with. Not to mention the fact that people she loves and cares about are getting hurt. Her fellow citizens are getting hurt, and so yeah, you can definitely see she's torn about the whole thing. In the movie as well, um, I'm gonna go ahead and jump to Kaylee Spaney as Jessie as the secondary character. There's a couple other characters that you could say are the secondary character, but I'll go with her. She is a young aspiring photojournalist who is obviously a big fan of the Lee character. Runs into her um, during one of the instances that Lee is documenting at the beginning of the movie that is taking place in the United States, and somehow gets herself attached to the group because they have a plan to go to Washington D.C. To interview the president and take some more pictures and that sort of thing. Lee, of course, didn't want her to join in, but she ends up getting attached to the group anyways. So there's some like conflict there, but also Lee obviously takes on more like a mentor role to her, even though she really didn't want her to be there. Okay, let's see. What has she been in? Everybody knows Kirsten Dunst, but what has this lady been in? She was in Priscilla, Pacific Rim Uprising. Was she was probably pretty young during that, I would imagine. I can't quite remember what character she was. Amara Namani. Um, she was in Mare of Easttown. If you watch that show, How It Ends. Oh, okay. All right, she was in How It Ends, The Craft Legacy. Debs, was she now? She was the young girl in Debs, wasn't she? Interesting. That was a great show, by the way. Again, with Nick Offerman, great show. Um, definitely, definitely check out that show if you've never watched it. It's pretty trippy. All right, good enough. Besides her, we have Wagner Mora, who looked familiar, but I don't know what he's from, so we'll check. But he plays a character named Joel. He is Lee's assistant, kind of. I don't think assistant is the right term. Handler, helps her move through the war torn areas. These things, he kind of marks them. He's like, hey, he's like, go, 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 don't go, stay, hide, that sort of stuff. Um, he's the one that wants to interview the president, though, so maybe his role is also as the actual journalist, not the photojournalist, because he's not taking pictures. Um, so he's kind of a journalist, but he's also kind of a handler type thing. I don't know. There's probably a name for his role. I just don't know what it is. All right, so let's see. What else has he been in? He has been in Elite Squad, Narcos. Okay, he was Pablo Escobar in Narcos. Um, Elite Squad 2, Marighella, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, the TV show. Puss in Boots, he was the voice of the wolf. Okay. He was in The Gray Man. I think that's where I recognize him from. Um, let's see. Anything else? Good enough. Good enough. Yeah, I think I remember him from The Gray Man. But yeah, he was good. He was very good in the movie. Um, we'll come back to Kirsten Dunst. Kaylee Spaney was pretty good, but a little annoying, but pretty good in the role. Wagner was really good in his role. Kirsten Dunst was, I don't know, uninspired is the word. I heard someone else say she had like a sour look on her face the whole video or the whole movie. Um, it just, I don't know. Probably not a great role for her. I don't know. Anyways, it wasn't terrible. I would still encourage you to watch the movie. And I'm usually a positive reviewer, so obviously I'm not going to say it was terrible, but it could have been better. All right. Who else was in this movie? Another character or another actor from. I'm surprised he's so far down. Where is he? Is this him? Stephen McKinley Henderson? Is that? Yes, Stephen McKinley Henderson. I love him in everything he does. Also, same as Nick Offerman. Also, he's another guy who was in Devs, and so I don't know if it was like maybe the same director or writer or how it ended up being that like at least three actors from Devs were in this movie. Um, you know, maybe they all just liked working together. Same like a producer situation. Maybe Nick Offerman was the producer. I'm not sure. Um, but yeah, he was in this. He was in Dune Part One. He was in Lincoln. He was in Devs. He was in Lady Bird. He was in Fences. What else has he done? Beau is Afraid. The Accidental Wolf. I don't know what that is. Wu Tang and American Saga. I'll have to check it out. See, he's Uncle Hollis. All right. But yeah, great actor. More like a character actor. He has a distinct look. And I just enjoy him in everything he does. He plays the older, more grizzled photojournalist who can't quite get around as well these days, but still wants to be involved. Still wants to be in on the front lines. Um, no spoilers about this, but he struggles obviously. Okay, let's see. Is there any other actors in this that I want to touch on? Um, Justin James Boykin was in it. Okay. There was one other actor that I did want to touch on because of his name more so than the character. Let's see if I can find him. He's unlisted. Wait. Oh, top cast. Okay. I want to see the whole cast. It was, and you probably know exactly what I'm going to say. Let's find him. Oh boy. Jesse Plemons. There we go. It's funny because he's in this and he actually doesn't even have, his character doesn't even have a name on here. That's interesting. So I'm assuming his character didn't have a name or they didn't even like call him anything. He was see, that's the thing is, I can't really go into huge detail without spoilers. But it's basically he plays in one scene, pretty intense scene, and he's great. Of course, he's great in everything he does. If you don't know who I'm talking about, Jesse Plemons is the guy that kind of looks like Matt Damon a little bit, like a little older, a little chunkier than Matt Damon, but kind of looks like Matt Damon. He's been in just so much stuff. Let's go ahead and go through some of the stuff he's been in. He was in Killers of the Flower Moon. He was in, oh wow, yeah, he was in Antlers, Power of the Dog. He was in The Irishman. He was in, let's see, Black Mass. He's just done so much. He was in Battleship, Friday Night Lights, Landry Clark in Friday Night Lights. A lot of people probably know him from that. Let's see. Shrink is the one. Yeah, Shrink. God, he's been in so many movies. I'm just scrolling and scrolling and scrolling. That's fun. Anyways, you did absolutely recognize him if you saw him. He's a great actor. I thought he was in I'm not seeing it. He was in Black Mirror. He had a great role in Black Mirror. Okay, well, I'm not going to remember the thing that I'm trying to remember him from, but check him out. He's great. Okay, he was in Fargo. Okay. Anyways, great character from Fargo too. You'll seriously you'll recognize him. It's a very small role, but very enjoyable in that you know you hate him. No spoilers, but I mean if you've seen the trailers, you kind of get the general idea. He does show up in the trailers. Okay, so in general, most of the characters are acted well. Kirsten Dunst is a little off, um, and then the other young lady. Oh, why am I forgetting her name? Kaylee Spaney is not the greatest, but definitely holds her own. And so photojournalists trying to make it to Washington D.C. The movie's marketed like a heavy like Civil War movie, and so I agree with some of the people who had a negative review saying that it didn't focus on that. Um, that I mean, it's definitely the backdrop for the movie, but you know, other than a couple of like scenes here and there, and then the final scene, you don't get a lot of the Civil War aspect. It's more about these photojournalists' journey, and I think you'll enjoy it. I enjoyed it. If you were going into it, and so we'll get a little political here, but not too much. The next video I do will go into that in depth. But if you were looking for them to take a side between what's the current situation in the country, it absolutely does not. There's a little bit of hints here and there about what started the Civil War, but it doesn't blame anybody or anything. And a big premise of the movie is that the seceding portion of the country is mostly California and Texas seceding together. So obviously they were going for that whole idea of, well, how can we make it so that it's not going to, you know, have you picking a side, because you kind of aren't supposed to pick a side in the movie. And so they teamed California and Texas up. But anyways, we'll get more into that in the next video. Some people were upset that it wasn't just, you know, these guys are bad, these guys are good. You know, the movie doesn't really do that, so it probably won't offend you if you get offended by things like that. But people can be offended by all sorts of things, so who knows. All right, I will get into that more in the next video. I hope you guys enjoyed this review, and if you get the chance to see it, go see it. It's a great movie. All right, everybody, take care. Have a good day.